So even if you've only been trading for 10 minutes, you probably already heard the statement, the trend is your friend. But what exactly does that mean? And how do you use it to your advantage? Hi, this is Load with Black Bear Dog Trading, and as always, welcome. I am glad you're part of my team and I appreciate you being here. So the trend is your friend. What exactly does that mean? And how do you know if the trend really is your friend? Before we can answer these questions, we must first understand what exactly is trend. Well, trend in the trading world is a fancy term for direction, more specifically, direction of price. If price is moving upward, traders will refer to it as an uptrend or a bullish trend, or the trend is bullish. If price is moving downward, then traders will refer to it as a downtrend or a bearish trend, or the trend is bearish. So now that we have this understanding, this brings us to the second question. How do you determine trend? Well, you'll be happy to know that you don't need any tools other than your eyesight and common sense. When you look at a naked chart, such as the one you see in front of you here, it has no indicators of any kind. It doesn't have any EAs. There's nothing on it except for candlesticks. Candlesticks are price. It's the movement of the market in price. All you need is look at it. What do you see in this case? We are on the daily chart for the Euro USD pair. Well, quick glance, without becoming too sophisticated, you can tell that price is pretty much flat across the board. Why do we say that? Because the lows and the highs aren't very far apart. So they're kind of squeezed. Same here. So this is considered the market is flat. Let's try another time frame. For example, let's choose, I don't know, 15-minute chart. Now, what do you see here? Quick glance. Well, again, same concept. Price was definitely going up, so that was considered an uptrend or a bullish trend. Now price is curving and it's starting to go down with a tiny curve right here. So we have a tiny downtrend or bearish trend with a small curve pointing back up again. So this part right here, off the top of your head, is like uncertainty. And this bullish trend right here may have come to an end. Let's try yet a different time frame. Any time frame. It doesn't matter which time frame we choose. Try a 5-minute chart. Here we go. What do we have here? Well, this is kind of a repeat of the daily chart. When you really look at it, price is squished right here and right here. So this is flat. Then we had a small price going down here for a short period of time. This would be a bearish trend. And now it's going slightly back up with a curve again. This would be considered somewhat of a tiny bullish trend. This is using nothing more but your eyes and logic to determine the direction of trend. And it works for every time frame. Let me take a weekly. Here you go, same thing. It is clear that even on a weekly price, let me first take the drawing tool. Here we go. The price went up. This was definitely a bullish trend or uptrend. And now price is flat because we're squished again right here and right here. So price is definitely flat. There is no trend. This is how you determine trend. Now, how can you tell if that trend truly is your friend? And what is the purpose to even have trend as your friend? Well, It is common acceptance among traders, even in professional institutions like hedge funds, banks, professional traders. They will tell you that the trend is your friend because you should really trade with the flow. What that means is if price is going up and so we just have a bullish trend, you should look for buy entries. And if price is going down or we have now a bearish trend, you should look for sell entries. And when price is flat like it is right here, you don't do anything. That is the purpose for a trend. Now, how do we determine if this trend is really a good friend? Because before I move into that, I want to show you why that is important. Right here where we are, I'll stay for now on this chart, doesn't matter. We had a slide up. So, going by the explanation of what a trend is, and in particularly a bullish trend, price is moving upwards. We have a bullish trend. Trend is my friend. I trade with the flow, buy opportunities when price is up or trend is up. So I enter right around here. Let's just say hypothetically. Yeah. Okay, because it's a weekly chart, you had a little bit of a benefit. You made some money because weekly doesn't move as quickly as a 5-minute chart, so or even a daily for that matter. So you had a little bit of an upswing, but then trend went flat. And now trend, which you thought was your friend right here, suddenly turns its back on you. And he's not your friend, or it is not your friend anymore. So how do you determine this? Because this is crucial to your trading. Well, it is generally accepted by traders around the world that they rely on basic tools, indicators, that are usually standard of any trading platform, regardless of the platform you use, that will determine the direction of the trend and equally, to some point, the strength of the trend. And your friendship with the trend, being the trend is your friend, becomes stronger if the strength of that trend is stronger. In other words, the stronger the trend being bearish, the greater the likelihood that you have a profit-producing sell opportunity. And the stronger the trend is bullish, the greater the likelihood that you have a profitable buy opportunity. So what are the tools that they use? Well, the most common tool is a moving average. Oops, I'm in the wrong box. It's a moving average. It's under trend. We click on moving average, and there's usually two that they choose from, the 50 or the 200. The 200 is long term, the 50 is more not immediate, but not as far back as the 200 is. The period tells you 50 is the last 50 days, 200 is the last 200 days. So you see where this is going. Now, pick whatever color you want. Some will say they prefer to be simple, nothing complex. I like exponential only because it smoothens out the movement a little bit. That's the only reason why I like it. And you set color and bar line thickness the way you want. Click on OK, and there you go. And now, when you study the line, you can clearly see that trend started to go up right here. Then now it's starting to make a slight curve. It's still a tiny bit up. So that means at this point in time, wait and see. We don't trade when the market is flat. Remember, I started the video out that way. So they use a 20 for quote unquote immediate determination of the trend. I say quote unquote immediate because 50 days is really not immediate. 50 days is still almost 2 months, but That is what is being used to determine a trend in its direction clearly, and knowing exactly when it's starting to curve so that it may give an indication that trend is exhausted, or that it actually may continue. Let me, what would the results be if you were to use a 200? So let's install the 200 on top of the 50. So we go, we take trend again, look for moving average. We now set it to 200. Again, I leave it at exponential because it's a little smoother than simple. And we pick a different color so we can tell the two apart. There we go. And now you see, as far as the 200 is concerned, you actually have a clearer picture. And the clearer picture is that trend has been flat for quite some time. And you can see that by the line following here. And even that's still flat. And here it went up a tiny bit, and now it looks like it's starting to go flat again. So the 200 is a much more accurate reflection of where a trend is. Now, 50 is used for a simple reason, to determine the strength of the trend. How strong a bullish trend is it? How strong a bearish trend is it? And in order to determine that, we look at what's called curvature of the indicator, or slope. And for that, we usually use the 50 indicator. It gives us a clearer picture as far as slope or curvature of trend than does the 200 indicator. And let's look at what I'm talking about. Again, I'm on the weekly chart. I'm going to change to different charts, so time frames, so you'll see exactly how it goes. Here we have curvature. This is called slope. The stronger the slope in opposite direction of the curve, the more reliable the trend is in that direction. Let me repeat this. The curve is down. The trend continues in opposite direction. The stronger the sharper this curve is, the more likelihood that the trend will be very strong as well. Which translates in, you will more than likely have a very good buy opportunity here. So, by determining the slope, we are now able to say whether or not we have a weak trend, or a weak friendship, or a strong trend, friendship. And this works that way on any time frame. Let me jump to the daily. Here you go, and you can tell clearly. Right here, used to be up, then it starts to down curve, but the curve is very subtle. And what is the result? The market went flat, price went flat. Because the curve right here is very subtle. It's not this kind of curve, or even this kind of curve, or more of that kind of a curve. It's a very subtle uphill with a very subtle turn. So the trend is flat. We don't enter. This is not a good trend to have. I'm going on the trend is a friend statement to make that statement. So let's move on to the next chart. Let's try a 4-hour chart. Why not? We'll go down the charts. Here we go. What do we see here? Well, again, same concept. Trend was up. Okay. We have a curve, a little bit down, but again, the curve is very mild. And so what is the end result? Trend continued. Had you taken this part right here as a complete reversal of trend, and you would have entered a sell signal right here because you saw a dip coming in, then you would have had a massive loss. Just look where price went. So the curvature is important, slope. But there is another thing that we need to determine. It's not only the curvature of the moving average that now determines how strong the trend is, up or down, bearish or bullish. We also need to determine the strength of the movement itself. What do I mean with that? Well, I'll stay on this chart for now, and you'll see here we have an uptrend, but it's gradual. It's not, you see what I mean? It's gradual. Now here, this one is definitely stronger. I know this is fast, but I just want to point it out. This is definitely sharper down than this one is up. So this is a gentle trend. Does not mean you do not have buy opportunity in this case. You sure did when you look at this all right here. But it had to be taken with caution because the trend was gentle. It was a gentle direction of the trend. You want to have trend as your friend. You want to make it such that you have no doubt that you have a profitable bullish entry in an uptrend or a bullish trend, or a profitable bearish entry in a bearish trend or downtrend. Let's try another chart. We were on H4, we go to H1. Here we are. And again, same exact concept. Very ever so gentle. The trend went slowly down. This is really flat. Then it had a dip. The dip wasn't all that strong, but right at the very end, let me clear, it made a sharper dip, a sharper turn right here, and that gave us a nice, good, solid uptrend. Again, I'm not using any tools, I'm not using any sophisticated math, I'm just using my eyes and logic sense to determine the strength of the trend. And the stronger the direction of the trend or the strength of the trend is, the greater the likelihood that I will have a profitable trade in the direction of the trend. Let's try it one more chart. We are now on the 1 hour. Let's go down to the 30-minute. Now here's a prime example. Trend was slowly down, and when you look at price all by itself, this was being squeezed right here. This was just not going anywhere, flat. Then we had a curve up, but it went flat again, followed by a good curvature up right here. See that angle? And sure enough, what was the result? Boom. So had you entered somewhere around here, this would have been your trading result. This is how it works. And again, it works. I've now given you plenty of examples. I'll do one more. It works on any time, the 5-minute chart now. This works on any time frame. And here we go again. Same concept. Trend right here started up with a smooth, gentle. Then it had a little bit of an up curve, but came gradually down. It went smooth, gentle again. Then right here, it had a little bit of an uptick. And this was the signal that the trend was getting stronger. When you see this, let me put a different color right here. You see that? Right here, right there. And that was our indication of trend will continue to go. And sure enough, it was followed by yet another curve up, even higher up. So sure enough, we simply stayed, and look, it went nicely uphill. Now the curve is gradually turning downhill again, right here. And either this is ever so gentle, Either this is slowly starting to turn into a downtrend, or this is going to straighten out, flatten out a little bit, and then at this point or down the line, it's either going to go this way or it's going to go that way. Anybody's guess, anybody's game. Final result right here. You don't do a darn thing. You don't trade until you either check and confirm with another time frame and you find a good trend there, but if 5 minutes is your chosen time frame, you don't do anything. You wait until you get confirmation like I'm showing you here. This is trend, and this is what you need to know about trend if you are a trend trader. And a trend trader is someone who trades in the direction of the trend. Buy when the trend is bullish or going up. Sell when the trend is bearish or going down. Now you've seen what to look for, and now you see the power behind the trend is your friend statement when done correctly. Otherwise, the friendship part of the trend doesn't matter for anything. This is it for today's video. I hope it was insightful. Learned a thing or two about trend. So, as always, be safe. Have yourself a wonderful day still. Take care and God bless.